Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar UZZAMAN Sahab Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Thursday at about 12 noon, Thursday the 13th of Rajab 1445, corresponding with the English date 25th of January 2024. Hazrat Wala starts off this Majlis by quoting the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ad-Deenu an-Nasiha. Hazrat Wala is saying that this Majlis and these discourses, the silsila and this pattern is coming from a long way up. It was carried out by Hazrat Tanvi and then Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, and you people also have come here. This Majlis is taking place. You people have come, but I don't even deserve to pass on or quote these talks of the Buzurgan-e-Deen. Allah Ta'ala let the faiz and the barakat of this majlis be common, general, let it spread far and wide. Allah Ta'ala put such fuyuz and barakat in this majlis like how He put for those in the past. Hazrat Mujaddid Al-Fithani, Maulana Rashid Ahmad, Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah. In the end, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab conducted his majlis from here in Bombay. And it was more majlis, meaning this type of informal spiritual discourse as opposed to that of waz and lecturing, etc. And it is not far-fetched that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put such fuyuz and barakat in this majlis as well. وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. So here we have in front of us, this is the last maktub of Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom, which reads, Admi jab tak ma siwallah mein giftar hai. So long as a person is caught in the web of all those other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the effects of that, ghayrullah, others, those things other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is imprinted on his heart. So long as that is the case, until that time, this person here, we can say, has been afflicted with marz-e batin, with the internal spiritual ailment and disease. And regarding the closeness and qurb of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is very far. So this heart, Hazrat Wala is saying that yaar ke liye, it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dil ko Allah ta'ala ki taraf mutawajjih karna. We should turn the attention of our hearts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a great success. When the heart is negligent, then everything else becomes negligent. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives so many things. But when it comes to the heart, then that shirkat there, association like that of shirkat, etc., others in the heart besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala cannot tolerate that. The heart is for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His recognition. Buzurgan-e-Deen, they made hifazat much of the heart. The heart is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala especially and specifically. The Buzurgan-e-Deen turned the attention of people towards this. So, dil ma siwallah se khali rakho. Dil ma siwallah se khali rakho. Keep the heart empty from everything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, La ilaha illallah. There is none worthy of worship besides Allah. So this is the mashq and the exercise that we are made to do by the mashayikh. La ma'buda illallah. There is no deity but Allah. La maqsuda illallah. There is no objective other than that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some would even go on to say, La mawjuda illallah. Nothing exists. They are so high in the state of spirituality that they understand nothing to be in existence other than that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The heart is for the love and recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, the incident Hazrat Wala is quoting here, that a Buzruk was now in the throes of death and about to leave this world when a shaitan approaches him. Shaitan comes along and says that you have been saved from me and now you are going. So the Buzruk understands very well exactly what the shaitan is trying to do. And what does he say to the shaitan? That even now in these last moments, you're trying to take me away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, it is Allah Ta'ala that saved me from you. And listen, I'm not saved from you as yet until I pass this stage here as well. To dil ko aghyar se paak ko saaf rakho. Keep the heart free, pure and clean from aghyar. Aghyar, anything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dil yaar ke liye, aghyar ke liye nahi. The heart is for Allah, not for others. Everybody made, the mashayikh made others to make mashq. They made them repeatedly do the sabak and the exercise of these great lessons. Now it's quite obvious, people like me are in their last portion of their life now, and we are still not fully attached or devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala make us His. And you people, I am making a darkhast and a request to you that you make dua for me. This dua, Allahumma kun lana waj'alna lak. Oh Allah, you make us yours and you become ours. Hazrat Tanvi, when he used to read this here, he would say that I perceive and I enjoy and I feel such a great amount of sukoon and peace. So this is the essence. Aadmi jiska banta hai, usi ka ho jata hai. The one for who he tries to become, then he is left with that. That becomes his fate and his destiny. He becomes for that. He becomes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why did we come here? Why are we created? What's our job here? وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn and man except so that they can worship me. They can worship me, the Mufassirin say, لِيَعْرِفُونِ, so that they can recognize me. Alas, today, we have freed ourselves for everything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So fulfill this maqsad that Allah ta'ala has sent us for. That we recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Allah ta'ala give us good, correct, pure recognition of Him. Now Maulana Tanvi, Maulana Gangohi, all of them taught this lesson, that how can we recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how can we acquire the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now this last maktub, we're reading from the maktubat and the letters of Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom. He had 7,000 khalifas. He was the illustrious son of the Mujaddid and the reformer of the second 1,000 years. Mujaddid Al-Fathani, he done great and tremendous work. Hazrat Khaja Muhammad Masoom came along and brought those works of his illustrious father to perfection and completed it beautifully. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to say that whenever any mujaddid comes, Allah Ta'ala makes it such that after him a naib and a deputy then comes and brings those things that were left undone, brings it to fruition and completion. He came at that time during the era of Akbar, when ilhad and apostasy became the order of the day. And what did he do? He made talqeen to the masses of nothing other than that, of kalima tayyiba, la ilaha illallah. Now read up and go and have a look at what he has written about the kalima tayyiba. Allahu Akbar. Allah Ta'ala bless us with His love and His recognition. Ilahi maqsood man tu hi wa rizae tu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bidah. Oh Allah, my maqsad, my goal in life is only you and your pleasure. Therefore bless me with your love and your recognition. Now the Mashayikh Naqshbandiya, this kalima and this wazifa was of utmost importance to them, and they used to make mashq of it. They used to make their disciples make this dua and this wazifa over and over again. Now, in the heart of that individual, where there is Allah is not found, Allah is absent, what can we say about that heart? Allah Ta'ala create within us and bless us with this talab, this true genuine quest, this thirst, this restlessness for the recognition and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, Barju talab barjane talib mustawli mi shawad. When this type of enthusiasm, restlessness of the seeker, restlessness and the search and quest for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it completely envelopes and overwhelms and covers a person completely, he has the correct and true genuine quest and thirst to find Allah, recognize Allah, the love of Allah. Then no matter how many mountains are in front of him, and no matter if the 7 oceans are in front of him, he will traverse, he will travel, he will pass, and he will reach his destination. Nothing will be an obstacle in front of a person who has true talab. So we need to create talab. And what did these mashayikh do? They created talab in the people. And if a person doesn't have this true talab in him, remember, he is left incomplete. He is naqis. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah, Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Shah Wasiullah Sahab, what did they do? They created this type of talab within people. This restlessness all the time, no matter what level of piety and spirituality they reached. Baagh mein lagta nahi, sahra mein ghabrata hai dil. Ab kahan le jaake bete, aise diwane ko hum? What to do? I don't feel nice in the beautiful lush gardens. And I become restless and completely anxious if you put me in the open fields and in the deserts. Now what do you do with a person who's become utterly mad like this, referring to the person who has become mad in the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that wherever he goes, he's absolutely restless in his search and his quest for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether we stay here or whether we in the khanqa, wherever we are, Hazrat Maulana Abdul Bari Nadwi, he comes and he meets Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab ALAHBADI, and then he goes on to say, Hazrat, aap Tana Bhawan ke khanqa mein rahe? Did you stay in the khanqa of Tana Bhawan? Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab answered, Waha hi raha. I only stayed there. But nobody could recognize him, or hardly people met him. He was so occupied in the tasks and in the works that were meted out to him by his mentor Hazrat Tanvi, and the balance of the time wo jungle pakarta tha, he would go in seclusion, go out and be alone. So this talab, such a type of talab, and such a type of a level is reached that nothing and nothing can then deter this person. And that was exactly the definition that the Quran spells regarding the Sahaba in describing them. Rijal, they were such men. La tulhihim tijarah wala bay'un an dhikrillah. That no trade, neither commerce made them negligent from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They did trade, they went into the dunya, they done whatever they had to do, but they were never ever negligent regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, even that dunya was done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah ta'ala give us such a life, that life which is most required and desired by Him, such a life that would please Him. So Khaja Muhammad Masoom, 7,000 individuals ko Saheb Batin bana diya. He made them people of great spiritual excellence, masters of the internal, masters of the soul and the heart. You know, Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab would say that this ghaflat is Ummul Amrad. Negligence is the mother of all ailments and sicknesses. So we read and we continue. इस मरज के इजाला की फिक्र और उस इल्लत मानवी के दफा करने का इलाज उस फुर्सत कलील में कर लेना सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. To remove this type of negligence, to remove this ghayrullah, everything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from our hearts in the short span of time that we had been blessed with, this year is most necessary. बुजुर्गों ने इस मर्ज का इजाला जिक्र कसीर के साथ मुताल्लिक किया है. The बुजुर्गान दीन had attached the removal of this type of an ailment and sickness of negligence by prescribing dhikr kathir, abundant remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, और तहारत बातिन का हासिल करना याद हक पर मौकूफ रखा. And for a person to achieve inner purity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept that wealth suspended on yad haq, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like how Allah ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran Majid, Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu dhkurullaha dhikran kathira. O people of Iman, remember Allah abundantly. Wasabbihuhu, and glorify Him. Bukrata wa asila, morning and evening. Dhikr kathir उस वक्त मुतहक्कक हो जाता है जबकि गफलत उसके पीछे न हो. This abundant dhikr will only be realized when after it there is no negligence whatsoever. Why? Ghaflat is राह में सब में कातिल है. Negligence in this path is nothing. Negligence in this path to Allah is nothing other than deadly poison. और मर्ज बातिन, okay. So Allah Ta'ala cannot tolerate. Allah Ta'ala will tolerate this or that or the other from the other organs of the body. But when it comes to the heart, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala cannot tolerate that. And therefore you see that the sins committed by the heart are like that of shirk, are not forgiven by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So long as you do not sweep everything else other than Allah with the broom of La, so long as you do not sweep everything else other than Allah with the broom of La, the La in La ilaha, until that time the deep reality of illallah will not sink down deep into your heart. So all of it is in this negation and affirmation, nafi and ithbat. So aghna shuraka, the most independent from all type of partners, etc., is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we also, children also, cannot tolerate this. So where will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then tolerate this? So, what has happened to this Farsi? We are losing it. But all this ulum of the Farsi is after the Arabic language, majority, bulk, rather all of it, you would see has been transferred into the Persian language. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah mashq karate the. He would make the disciples carry out the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he would even instruct them to sit near to a wall so that wasa'id kam ho, so that things of disturbance and obstacles between you and Allah may be less, rather may be absent completely. So we came, but we don't even know our maqsad. Remember, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And what about the khas wazifa of the Mashayikh Naqshbandiya? Ilahi maqsood man tuhi wa rizayatu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bideh. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to quote, وَمُحَبَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَىٰ قِسْمَيْنِ. The love of Allah can be categorized and put into two categories. And then he would even go on to say, listen, I am not talking from the books of the Sufis. This is a kitab of hadith. This is Fathul Bari of Ibn Hajar Asqalani rahimahullah. So, the love of Allah is incumbent upon every single person. The love of Allah, fardun wa nudubun. You have that category which is fard, and that category which is optional. That category of the farz, love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that amount which will allow us to carry out the fara'id, and that which is mandub will allow us to carry out that which is optional and mandub. Maulana, mushkil nahi hai. It's not difficult at all. Samajhne ki baat hai. You just need to understand it well. Perform and read some few extra rakats of salat and exercise precaution, absolute precaution, when it comes to that of sin and that which is abhorrent and that which is disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're going, you're leaving, your journey has come to an end. Jate jawate, dil ko farigh kar lo. Make this heart clean, pure, only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Hazrat Wala repeats that incident of the waqia of the Buzruk and Shaitan in the last moments. So the Sahaba acquired, they came into the sohbat, into the company, into the divine company, companionship of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to achieve the love and recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What to do, what to say, ab to fikr bhi nahi. Now we don't even have the worry, leave alone that, we don't even have the thought of it. However, the nisbat, the strong connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sabse bari ni'mat, sabse bari daulat, it is a great treasure, it is a tremendous boon. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib, Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making amal on his ta'limat. When he would come here to Bombay, he would speak about, because people would now be here in the city, and he would say to them, make hifazat of your eyes. Hazrat Maulana Hakim Akhtar Sahib, this was his khas mazmoon. He would give the example of the ocean and the huge waves that would come onto the shore and then smash onto those boulders. You have the ocean, the beach there, you have the shore, then you have those huge rocks, those boulders, and after it you would find all those skyscrapers and those hotels there. He would give this fantastic example, trying to explain, see here, these waves are coming, and it is because of these huge rocks and boulders that are here that these beautiful hotels are intact and in its place. So to protect those hotels, all this was done. So the markaz of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the heart. To protect that heart, Allah Ta'ala has given us this eyes, these ears, and this mouth. So when those waves come, it's either accepted by those eyes, and then the heart is polluted and contaminated. And if a person is well trained, then Those eyes will serve as those huge boulders and rocks there on the ocean side, and they will truly protect those buildings, meaning the eyes will then protect the heart from becoming destroyed. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, sometimes when he would read the newspapers, and then you would find that tasweer, pictures, immediately he would say, take this away. Now what to do? How would you look after your eyes now? Sometimes he would be sitting in his private chamber, and then into that chamber would come the sound of music and drums, etc. And then he would say, Ab kahan le jaake bete? Now where are you going to take me and leave me? What do I do now? This is the amount of importance they attach to looking after the eyes and the ears and the tongue. Chashmo band, labbo band, gosho band, gar nabini noor haq barman bakhand. Shut the eyes, zip the lips, and plug the ears. Then too, if you cannot perceive the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then laugh at me. Meaning, this is tried and tested. If any person makes hifazat and looks after his eyes, shuts his eyes from all evil, he zips his lips, he talks no evil, he plugs his ears, he listens to no evil, then most definitely he will enjoy the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ke ho ke rehna, become for Allah, live for Allah. तो मैं hadith की किताब सुना रहा हूँ. I'm not talking about the kitabs of Sufis. This is Fathul Bari. This was Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab's khas andaz. Now what a beautiful article and sentence. Ilahi maqsood man tui warizai tu muhabbat wa ma'rifat khud bideh. Oh Allah, my goal and my objective is only you and your pleasure. Therefore bless me with your love and your recognition. When we came to Bombay and we went here and there, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab then asked, Dekha, you saw something, you went into Bombay and you seen. So we said that, okay, we may have seen something. And then he said, Nahi, bahut mushkil. Dekhna bahut mushkil. To see is something very difficult, meaning, ibrat ki nigah se dekhna. When you went, you should have looked with the eyes of admonition, so that you could take great lesson. Then that is something of seeing a certain place. So, ma siwallah se kata ta'alluq. Everything other than Allah, to cut off ties there, and to keep Allah with you, in front of you. Allah Ta'ala bless us all with His love and His ma'rifat, His recognition. So we came and we sat for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now even if there is some type of weakness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will erase and wipe that off. Allah Ta'ala let the silsila and this pattern of waz, this majlis, spiritual discourse continue. The objective of this majlis, what is the maqsad of it? What is the gharz of it? That the nur, the recognition, the love, the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes into our heart. Allah Ta'ala decorate us with His nur, His love and His recognition. Now let us make dua. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina MAULANA MOHAMMAD. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا واهدنا سبل السلام ونجنا من الظلمات إلى النور وجنبنا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن وبارك لنا في أسماعنا وأبصارنا وقلوبنا وأزواجنا وذرياتنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Allah Ta'ala makes this beneficial and Allah Ta'ala accept our du'as. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.